The Catharian ambassador's scales had turned from their usual iridescent blue to a sickly pale gray. Commander Vexthor stood in the medical bay of the interstellar station, watching his world's greatest treasure dying on the examination table. "Your physicians have failed," he hissed at Station Director Martinez. "3 of the galaxy's finest xenobiologists, and none can save the apex." The creature on the table was magnificent even in its weakened state. Nearly 8 feet long, with obsidian fur that seemed to absorb light, 6 powerful legs, and a crown of bone-like protrusions that marked it as royalty among its species. The Catharian apex predator was more than just an animal, it was a living symbol of his people's strength, their connection to their harsh homeworld. And it was dying. Director Martinez rubbed his temples. They'd tried everything. The creature had stopped eating 3 days ago, its breathing had become labored, and now it lay motionless except for the occasional twitch of its barbed tail. "There's one more option," Martinez said quietly. "We have a human on station. Dr. Rebecca Walsh. She's a veterinarian." "A what?" Vexthor's translator struggled with the word. "An animal doctor. She treats Earth creatures." The Catharian commander's crest flared in anger. "You would insult the apex by bringing a primitive mammal tender? Humans have barely left their solar system. What could she possibly know of Catharian biology?" "Maybe nothing," Martinez admitted. "But she's all we've got left." 20 minutes later, Dr. Rebecca Walsh walked into the medical bay wearing jeans and a faded college sweatshirt, her red hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. She carried a worn leather bag that had seen better days. She was completely unremarkable, exactly the kind of human that had made the galaxy underestimate Earth for decades. Vexthor watched with barely concealed contempt as she approached the apex without hesitation, ignoring the warning signs posted around the containment field. "Beautiful animal," she murmured, her experienced eyes scanning the creature. "Okay, let's see what we've got here." "This is the Catharian apex," Vexthor said stiffly. "The most dangerous predator on our world. It can tear through battle armor with its claws. Its venom can kill a full-grown Catharian warrior in seconds. It has never been tamed, never been conquered. It is the ultimate." "It's just a bigger Housecat," Rebecca interrupted, pulling out a small light to examine the apex's eyes. The silence in the medical bay was deafening. "What?" Vexthor's roar shook the equipment around them. Rebecca didn't even flinch. Feliform body structure, retractable claws, vertical pupils, independent ear movement, obligate carnivore by the look of those teeth, territorial behavior, I'm betting, and probably pretty good at hiding when it doesn't feel well. She gently pried open the apex's mouth. "Yeah, see this? Gingivostomatitis. Inflamed gums. Probably painful as hell." "This is absurd," one of the alien xenobiologists sputtered. "We've scanned every system." "Did you check its teeth?" Rebecca asked simply. The silence was answer enough. "Earth cats are the same way," Rebecca continued, pulling instruments from her bag. "They're predators, so they hide pain and illness until they're really in trouble. Makes them look invincible right up until they're at death's door." She scratched behind one of the apex's 6 ears, and impossibly, the creature's breathing seemed to ease slightly. "In Earth medicine, we have this saying, when you hear hoofbeats, think horses, not zebras." Sometimes the answer isn't exotic alien biology. Sometimes it's just a toothache. Over the next 2 hours, Rebecca worked with a calm confidence that gradually silenced the critics in the room. She treated the apex with a combination of standard veterinary technique and careful improvisation, adapting what she knew about Earth's felines to this alien variant. She administered anti-inflammatories, antibiotics modified for the apex's biology, and even convinced the creature to accept a liquid nutrient solution. "The damage is pretty severe," she explained to Vexthor, who had watched in stunned silence. "Probably been developing for months. Your apex has been in pain for a long time, but predators don't show weakness. That's survival 101, whether you're from Earth or Catharia." "But how did you know?" Vexthor asked, his earlier hostility replaced by genuine curiosity. Our greatest minds missed this. Rebecca smiled. Because your greatest minds were looking for something complicated and exotic. They were thinking about alien biology, hostile environments, unknown pathogens. They forgot that evolution tends to find similar solutions to similar problems across the galaxy. A predator is a predator. She gestured to the apex, whose breathing had already improved. On Earth, we have big cats, lions, tigers, leopards. We have little cats that live in our homes. They're all basically the same design scaled up or down. Natural selection is conservative. Why reinvent the wheel when claws and fangs work just fine? Your greatest minds were thinking like scientists, she continued. I was thinking like someone who's spent 20 years dealing with cranky cats who refuse to admit they're sick until they're practically dead. Once you've wrestled a Maine Coon into a carrier at 3 a.m, a six-legged alien apex predator isn't that intimidating. By the end of the week, the apex was eating again. Its obsidian fur had regained its light-absorbing sheen. It prowled its enclosure with renewed vigor, occasionally pausing to allow Rebecca to check on its healing. The story spread through the station, then the sector, then the galaxy. The human who had saved the Catharian apex with primitive Earth animal medicine. The vet who had looked at the most fearsome predator in known space and seen a sick cat that needed help. Vexthor stood beside Rebecca on the observation deck, watching the apex rest in its heated enclosure. Dr. Walsh, he said formally, the Catharian people are in your debt. Just doing my job, Rebecca replied with a shrug. Though I have to say, you guys made the same mistake a lot of people make with their pets. What mistake? You saw your apex as this invincible symbol of power and strength. You forgot it was a living thing that could get sick, feel pain, and need help. She smiled. Even apex predators need someone to care about them. As she walked away, Vexthor realized something the galaxy was slowly learning. Humans weren't impressive because they were the strongest or the smartest or the most advanced. They were impressive because they had spent millennia learning to care for creatures that could easily kill them. They saw kinship where others saw threat. They saw patience where others saw monsters. The Catharian apex yawned, displaying its formidable fangs, then curled up contentedly in its bed. Just a bigger Housecat indeed.